안녕하세요. 연세일의 치과 원장 이선규입니다.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sungyu Lee, Yonsei Dental Clinic. It is my pleasure to meet you through this online Awesome Master course. Today, I'm going to talk about implant level impression taking. Implant level impression taking. Impression is taken on the implant level. An implant is placed in the mouth. A pickup type or a transfer type impression coping is connected to the implant. After that, using an open or closed tray, impression is taken and a LED analog, a copy of the implant is inserted. This is the implant level impression taking. Its significance lies in the copying accurately the intraoral situation of a patient. Actually, in the mouth, you can see the gingiva where implant is placed. Pickup or transfer type impression coping is used to take impression, followed by the work on the gum and the gypsum model. The result is like this. A model is made exactly reflecting the oral situation where the implant is placed. Implant level impression, unlike the abutment level impression, on the model made extraorally, various abutments can be selected. Implant level impression components, implant in the mouth, and impression coping. There are two types, pickup type or a transfer type, tray, open or closed tray. Impression copings, there are two types, pickup type and the transfer type. I know usually dentists place internal hex type implants. Accordingly, hex type impression copings would be chosen. When impression taking is performed using hex type impression copings, abutment can be hex or non-hex type. On the other hand, if impression taking is performed using a non-hex impression copings, there is no way of knowing the angle of implant hex. Therefore, non-hex type abutments should be used. Depending on the impression copings, different trays need to be used. For the pickup impression coping, an open type tray should be used. You can make holes like this in a stock plastic tray, or you can fabricate a custom tray, individual tray with holes to take impression. For the transfer impression copings, a closed tray, a metal tray like this, or a stock plastic tray can be used to take impression in a closed manner like this. Advantages and disadvantages of implant level impression. Advantage: even though an implant is placed with an angulation, impression can be taken without restrictions. Next, an abutment is chosen extraorally on the model. There is no restrictions in choosing prosthetic types, and there is a wider range of abutment choices. So more complete prosthesis can be made for multi-implant cases. For a single implant cases, it doesn't really matter whether it is implant or abutment level impression. Disadvantage: unlike the abutment level impression, this impression is taken at the implant level. Unlike the abutment level, impression is taken at the implant level. Gypsum is poured over impression copy. On the model, abutment and the prosthesis are fabricated, so prosthesis may not fit very well when impression copy is not properly connected in the mouth. Impression taking errors can occur. Advantages: when implants are placed not in parallel, there is no need to choose abutments in the mouth. So after taking implant level impression, On the model extraorally, abutments can be selected. That's the advantage. How implants are placed doesn't pose any restrictions. Thus, no restrictions in choosing prosthetic types. As we are dealing with the gypsum model extraorally, the direction of implant hole can be checked, and we can choose a cement type, screw type, or an ER type of ostomy when it comes to prosthetic types extraorally. So there's no restrictions in choosing prosthetics. Abutments are fabricated with the gypsum model extraorally, giving wider choice of abutments, except the solid type abutments which are connected in the mouth for impression taking. Two-piece abutments or UCLA type abutments can be selected. I talked about the completeness of prosthetics that is for multiple implant cases. Extraorally, on the gypsum model, angulated abutments or straight abutments can be connected before fabricating prosthesis. Thus, prosthetic completeness can be higher as there is no need to select abutments in the mouth. Disadvantages: impression coping, whether pickup or transfer types, when they're not properly connected, impression taking can go wrong. Second, because of that, abutments can not be properly connected on the model, leading to errors in the fabricated crown, so the errors will propagate. Even if impression is properly taken, prosthesis is fabricated with abutment put on the model. When they are connected on the model, there is a risk of lower occlusion depending on whether it is connected with 30 Newton centimeters or just by hand. An example, an impression coping is not properly connected. It was properly fabricated on the model, but in the mouth, it is displaced. This is the correct direction, but it is in the wrong direction. So the hex position is displaced. Or this is a frequent impression mistakes with the transfer type. For the transfer type impression coping is inserted into the impression again. When it is inserted, not in sufficient depth, on the actual gypsum model, the implant can be mistaken to be in deep position. When an implant is placed deeply, the distance to the gingiva would become long. Based on this, abutments are fabricated and delivered, exposing the abutment margins. There are two types of implant level impression. Pickup type. The pickup impression coping type looks like this, and this open tray should be used. This is an example. In the mouth, the pickup type impression copings are connected. You could use a stock plastic tray or individual tray. However, they need to have holes. After impression taking, these are loosened and the impression material is detached. You could see the pickup type impression copings are included in the impression. Pickup type impression, there's a hex type and non-hex type, and there's a short one and long one. When implant is placed below gingival level, long one should be used, and if the placement is in ideal depth, short one can be used. Short or long, if the plastic tray is thick, the pin sticking out of this impression coping is not high enough, the open tray will not work. then the long pin should be used. Advantages of the pickup type: accurate impression taking. The impression coping connected in the mouth is stuck in the impression, so there is a low risk of deformation. Disadvantage: only open tray must be used. So for patients with a limited mouth opening, for posterior number 7, this cannot be readily used. In a multiple implant case with different implant paths, impression taking can be challenging. Advantages: this part is cut in the impression, lowering the possibility of errors. That's an advantage. However, disadvantage: for patients with a limited mouth opening, the pickup type cannot be used because over the pin, hex driver also needs to be connected. There is a limited space, so the pickup type will not be used. In that case, you can switch to the transfer type with closed tray. In a multiple case, when implants are in parallel, it will be okay, but if they are angulated, the hex parts, when impression is taken out, they can get caught in there, so pickup type cannot be used. Contraindication of pickup impression: a disadvantage, the posterior region with limited mouth opening. For a multiple case when implant paths are not good, the transfer type would be better. Second, transfer type impression. Impression is taken using the transfer impression coping with the closed tray. So actually, in the mouth, the closed tray, when impression material is removed, the forms remain, so transfer impression copings need to be inserted in there. When impression material is removed, the existing impression coping shape is recorded here, and this coping should be removed from the mouth and inserted here. The transfer impression coping is just like pickup type. There are hex and non-hex types, short and long versions. A short or long one can be chosen depending on whether this part can be cut in the closed tray in the mouth. As I said before, disadvantage of pickup type: when implants have different paths, transfer type can be more beneficial in terms of impression taking. Disadvantage of transfer type: in the mouth, when impression coping is connected, pickup type has this part which can be held by a hand. The transfer type has no such part where you can hold it, so it is not easy to connect it in the mouth. The second disadvantage: unlike the pickup type, this part should be removed from the mouth and inserted in the impression. At least this portion should be inserted in the impression stably, but with a wrong selection of a transfer impression coping, this portion only is inserted in the impression, not full connection. Then, when gypsum is poured over it, the position can be displaced. Like this, the transfer type in the impression, this one needs to be inserted. When it is inserted, if it is inserted too shallow, actually implant is mistakenly considered to be placed deep, and when abutment is fabricated, there is a risk that the abutment would have supramargin.
그리고 스크루 타입, 스크루
Screw
타입은
type prosthesis.
골절물이
Prosthesis
정확하게 인상 체득돼야 되는데
requires
만약에
accurate
트랜스퍼를
impression
했을 때는
taking.
그 인상
If
체득의
transfer
오류가
type is
100% 위험성이
used,
높기 때문에
impression taking
스크루
can have
타입이기
more
때문에
errors. For the
트랜스퍼보다는
screw
픽업
type,
타입을
the
쓰는 것을
pickup type is
추천드립니다.
recommended over the transfer type.
그리고
As I
말씀드린
said
대로
before, in a
멀티플의 경우
multiple implant case,
픽스처가
when
각도가 다른
implants
멀티플의
have
경우에도
different
이렇게
angulations, the
픽업
pickup type
타입으로 한
can
번에
be
최종
more
고철물까지
accurate in
제작하는
terms of fabricating
경우가
the
훨씬
final
더 정확하지
prosthesis all at
트랜스퍼
once,
타입으로
and the
최종
transfer
고철물까지 바로
type would have
정확하면은
some
오차가
errors
생길 수
if
있습니다.
used up to the final prosthesis.
자, 디지털 임프레션입니다.
Digital
디지털
impression.
임프레션은
Digital
똑같이
impression
어드먼트
also
레벨
has
또는
an
이렇게
abutment
픽스처 레벨로
level
인상 체득을 할
and
수 있는데요.
implant
픽스처
level
레벨로 디지털
impression
임프레션을
taking.
할 때는
For
스캔
digital impression
바디가
taking
필요하죠.
at the implant level,
스캔 바디엔 크게 두
scan
가지 종류가
bodies are
있습니다.
required.
오스템에서
There are
나오는
two
스캔
types of
바디는
scan bodies
일반적으로 구강용 스캔
provided
바디와
by Ostem.
힐링
One is
어버트먼트와
normal
구강용
oral
스캔
scan
바디를
body, and
합쳐놓은
the other one
스캔
is
힐링 어버트먼트가
scan
있습니다.
healing
이 두
abutment,
가지 모듈을
combining
사용해서
healing
디지털
abutment and
임프레션을
oral
할 수
scan
있습니다.
body. These two can be used
스캔
for
바디에는
digital
이렇게 구강
impression
내에
taking.
사용하는
Scan
구강용 스캔
bodies.
바디, 그 다음에
There are
실제
scan
모델상에서
bodies
사용하는 모델용 스캔
used
바디가 있는데
in a mouth
우리는
and scan bodies
구강 내에서
used
할 때는
for model.
이걸 이용해서 환자
So
입안에서 스캔을
in the
하는
mouth
겁니다.
of a patient, we need to use this for
이 스캔
scanning.
바디도 똑같이 롱, 숏이
Scan
있습니다.
bodies.
그리고
There
똑같이
are long
미니,
type and
레그도
short type,
사용하는데
mini
저는
and regular types.
임플란트 고철물
For
거의
100%
100%를 다
of implant
디지털로 인상 체득을
prosthesis, I
하는데
use a
롱만 갖고
digital
있습니다. 그래서
impression
숏
taking, and I
신경에는
only have a
임플란트가
long type.
깊게
The
심겨진
short one
경우에
is hard to
체결하기가 좀
connect
어려워서
when
그냥
an
롱만
implant is
하나만 준비해
placed
두고
deep, so
있습니다.
I only use the long one. A
이렇게
scan
스캔
body
바디를
is
선택을 해서
selected
꽂아놓고
and
스캔을 하면
inserted
되고요.
for scanning.
나중에
Later, in a
CAD
CAD
프로그램상에서 이
program, the
스캔
scan
바디와
body
CAD
and the
프로그램의
library in the
라이브러리를
CAD
중첩을 시켜야
program need to
되는데
be
그
merged.
중첩되는 부위는 딱
Based on
여기입니다.
this,
그래서
so this
이
portion needs
부분만
to be
잇몸살
merged, and
바깥으로만
that
위치시키면 될
portion
것입니다.
only should be exposed above gum.
또는
Scan
스캔 힐링
healing
어버트먼트라고
abutment.
힐링 어버트먼트와
Healing
스캔
abutment
바디를
is combined
결합한
with a scan body.
제품인데 이거는 일반적으로 2차
Generally,
스캔
after
임상을
the first
후에
or second surgery,
일반적인 힐링 어버트먼트
instead of
대신에
normal
이걸
healing abutment,
이용해서
this can be used
스캔을
for
할 수 있습니다.
scanning. This is the one. A
제품에서
normal healing
일반적인 힐링
abutment is
어버트먼트와
combined
스캔
with a
바디를
scan
합쳐서
body. A
스캔
scan
힐링
healing
어버트먼트로 만들었습니다.
abutment. Only
이것은
this top
중첩되는 부위가
area
어디냐면 요
is used
위쪽만입니다.
for merging.
그래서 이
So that
위쪽만
area
살짝
only
잇몸살
needs to
바깥으로
be
노출되면
above
됩니다.
gum. This
구강용
portion
스캔
of an
바디는
oral
요 부위가
scan body
노출되는
is
반면에
exposed, but
실제
a much
스캔 힐링
less portion
어버트먼트는 이렇게
of a
낮은
scan
부위만
healing
노출되도록
abutment needs to
CAD
be
프로그램상에서
exposed for
설정을 시킬 수
merging
있습니다.
in a CAD program.
일반적인 힐링
Unlike
어버트먼트와 다르게
general healing
스캔 힐링
abutments,
어버트먼트는 이렇게
scan
캐리어가
healing abutments require a
필요하겠죠.
carrier like this.
이렇게 스캔 힐링
Different scan
어버트먼트는
healing
각각의
abutments have
하이트마다
different
모양이 다
shapes.
다릅니다. 중첩되는
Merging will
부위는
be
아까
made
어디냐고
based on
말씀드렸냐면
just
딱
this part.
여기입니다.
So a healing
그래서 잇몸살
abutment needs
바깥으로만
to
이
be
부위는
chosen
노출되게 힐링
only with this
어버트먼트를
part exposed
선택하시면
above gum.
되겠습니다.
Compared to an
아날로그
analog
방식과 비교해서
method,
디지털은
digital
많은
has
장점을 갖고
many
있습니다. 첫
advantages.
번째,
First, the
위생제.
impression
쓸
materials are
필요가
not
없습니다. 병원이
needed. You can keep
깨끗해지겠죠.
your
두
clinic
번째,
clean.
기계에
Second,
석고를
there's
부을
no need
필요가
to pour
없습니다.
stone. In
대부분의
most
케이스에서
cases, really in most
거의 진짜
cases,
대부분입니다. 쉽게
impression
인상
taking can be
체득이
done very
완료되고요.
easily. When
임플란트가
implant
실링 각도가
placement
안 좋은
angle
경우
is not
또는
very good
내부 제약이
or
있는 경우에도
mouth
아주 쉽게
opening is
디지털로
limited,
임프레션을 체득할 수
digital
있는 반면에
impression can be taken very
아날로그 방식은
easily. But
인석들을
analog
무조건
method
사용해야 되겠고
requires
석고를
impression
부어야 돼서
materials and gypsum.
비용적인 면에서도 좀 좋지
They
않고요.
cost money.
구강 상황에
Depending
따라
on oral
아까
situation,
대기제한이 있는
for
분들은
those
픽업이
with
안 된다고
mouth
했습니다.
opening limitations,
즉
a
각각의
pickup
구강
type
상황에
cannot be
따라
used, so it
제한되는
all
케이스가
depends on a
존재합니다.
specific oral situation.
이렇게 디지털의
This is the
워크플로우입니다.
digital workflow, skin body or skin healing abutment is connected and carrier is prepared. Skin body, this portion of the skin body should be exposed, and this part of skin healing abutment needs to be exposed. And after scanning, the skin data is matched with the library in a CAD program. Without gypsum model, abutment and final prosthesis can be fabricated like this, which is an advantage. When you connect a scan body, there is the reduced part which is called a deep cut, and on the maxilla it should be palatally positioned and lingually positioned for mandible. Skin bodies also may have connection errors because it is the connection between hexes. Just like the impression copings for normal pickup or transfer types, hexes need to be aligned. Otherwise, it can lead to errors in the prosthesis. Lastly, let me compare pickup type versus transfer type impressions. For the pickup type, the number of connections is 2, once intraorally and once extraorally. For the transfer type, the number of connection is 3, in the mouth, outside the mouth, and on the model. Impression precision is higher with the pickup type over the transfer type, but to be honest, it is easier to take impressions with the transfer type. In this online course, I briefly talked about implant level impressions. In the offline master course, more detailed implant level impressions would be explained through hands-on. Accurate implant level impressions will be explained. Thank you for your attention.